the council meeting. One public forum session will be held following the acknowledgement of the Broken Hill mining history, to hear submissions from the public on matters listed for consideration at this meeting, and also hear submissions on general matters. And the other public forum session will be held prior to confidential matters and will consider submissions from the public on matters considered by council at this meeting only. All councillors undertook an oath or an affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declared to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Broken Hill local government area and the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. This council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published via council's website. To those present in the gallery today, by attending or participating in the public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and or General Manager have the authority to pause or terminate the stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory, otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. We have nil apologies. We have one leave of absence, Councillor Hayley Jewett. A leave of absence application provided for the reason of bereavement leave. Do we have a mover for that to be accepted? Moved Councillor Jewett, seconded Councillor Chandler. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Byrne.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today, the land of the Willakali people, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Byrne. Councillor Allgate.
We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919-1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and our future.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. The first public forum session of 15 minutes duration will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting and also on general matters. The public have been advised through notices on council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address council during the public forum session. Members of the public who have registered to address council will be given preference, and then if time permits, anyone else in the public gallery may address council. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. We did not receive any, so I'll invite members of the public to speak if they wish. Bob, Mr. Cools, if you'd just like to say your name for the recording.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bob Cools is my name. I've got two little points. The first one is more of a comment than a question. Regards the memorial being put back up in the town square. Several people over the last week have commented how pleased they are that it's getting back up. So well done to council.
Thank you, Mr. Cools.
You're working against the weather.
Yeah, I was just
No
about to
doubt
say.
about that.
Yeah, I was just
The
about to
second one
say.
is
People didn't realise, but that memorial weighs over 5 tonne.
that. Oh,
Yeah, so
I
it
would have
wasn't.
said about a ton, but I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
that
so it
much.
wasn't as easy as what a lot
Oh,
of
with the
people.
big block underneath it.
Yeah, so 5 tonne. So the weather was really impactful on.
Yeah, I noticed they've levelled it all up and got it all ready, but the weather's working against you, Mr. Mayor. The second one is a question. As I recall, at a council meeting earlier in the year, council was informed about receiving a grant to do the rest of the road signs coming in and out of Broken Hill, like the one on the Wentworth Road. What progress has been made, if any, in that direction, please?
So happy to respond on that front. So council was part of an organisation which was the Joint Regional Organisation. Were combined with 3 other councils. Part of that, there was a grant funding in there for signage to help with tourism. So council was able to use that grant of just over 200,000 to complete the 4 additional signs that will be placed, one at the airport, one on the 4 at the moment, one on the Airport Road, one on Adelaide, Tippaborough and Sydney Road. So the 4 signs, the tender process has been completed and they should be complete by just after October, November. So all those, that's part of the funding agreement to have those signs installed and completed. I know a few
Right.
people spoke about moving them to different positions, and if council had an opportunity to do that, they would. But the reality is that would require additional DA applications that
Yeah.
would go well beyond the 4 or 5 months we've got left to spend that grant. So it's more a matter of making sure those signs are out there. We couldn't delay it any longer. They have to be put where the original signs are.
For the weather.
Yeah, exactly. So the concrete bases will be expanded slightly, and they'll be repositioned in the same place that the current signs are with the current concrete base.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr Mayor, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Does anyone else? Yes? You could just say your name for the tape.
Kathy Yates. No, my address is 572 Argent Street, where over a number of years I've complained about the 2 great big pine trees that have grown there. 7 years ago. It's lifting up the cement. The sidewalk, my gate has got about much now that I cannot lock the gate, can't close the gate, which goes down to the side of the house. Cement is lifting, the footpath is lifting. We went in December, we were told they're on the list to be removed. And now we went back in July, and they said they were no longer on the list to be removed. They are huge trees, I understand that, but the damage to my house. And I want to get renovations done, and I've been advised not to get them done. The roof's going. You're a nice one.
I'll just, so you can keep on talking, but I'll just respond to what you've said at the moment. There you go for it.
Through you, Mr Mayor. With your trees, I have had our asset inspector and our team, our parks team arborist inspect again over the last week. And I believe they're coming up with a plan of action, but I'll ensure that contact is made within the week to what the next one is.
We've been saying to them 15 times, they've said they'll get in contact with us. Not, if my sister, I work, there's 2 houses down, and I've had no contact at all.
Okay, I'll personally contact once I can get an update from the team to you both.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Are you staying around till the end of the meeting?
Yes.
If you like at the end of the meeting, if you come over and talk to the acting general manager, you can exchange contact details so that you can then deal directly with each other if you like. If you don't mind. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other speakers? No. We move on to minutes for confirmation. That the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council of the City of Broken Hill held 30th of June 2025 be confirmed. We have a mover for the minutes.
Move the minutes.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Chandler. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Disclosures of interest. Do any councillors have a disclosure of interest? Nil disclosures. Confidential mayoral minute. We might hold the confidential over to the end of the meeting rather than deal with the mayoral minute now. We don't want people to have to leave the chamber. Notice of motion nil, notice of rescission motion nil, reports from delegates. We have a verbal report or 2 verbal reports from the Deputy Mayor. You like to give your report?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The first one is report following the meeting of the Broken Hill Engineering Reference Group, which was set up following the proposed removal of lathes and milling machines from TAFE. The group meets monthly to discuss progress to entice new apprentices to ensure that these apprentices are trained within our city and our local TAFE and not having to travel to other areas. The latest developments are, and we've met about 4 times now, I think we're up to our 5th meeting. 2 senior tradespeople are undertaking courses through TAFE to enable them to hold Cert 4, which will enable them to teach at TAFE. They'll be qualified by the end of this year. Approximately 12 new apprentices have their names down to commence training in 2026 TAFE year. 1 night per week will be also available for night courses. One of the new teachers will be mechanical, which will alleviate the need to travel to Mildura for apprentices. And the other one will be the engineering. The engineering one works currently for Broken Hill Mines, who have agreed that he can have his day for TAFE to go and do that. He'll still work in the mine, which I think is really pleasing to see our new company offering that sort of service to our town, which is great, and that should be commended. Our construction course for next year has got really full interest. They are going to build a tiny home. Now, so the fabrication section will build the trailer or the carriage to put it on. Then over the next 18 months, they'll build a tiny home doing all the plumbing, electrical, the whole lot from their apprentices, and then they'll option off at the end of the day. They have asked me to try and find a shed where they can work out of, and I'll speak to council general manager when he's back and see if we have got something available. Broken Hill Engineering Alliance, together with TAFE, have a promotional advertisement filmed to help promote and encourage new apprentices to come back to the industry. As I say, engineering doesn't look very sexy at this day and age, but they want to try and promote it. Kids don't have to go away to uni. They can stay here, not have a HECS debt, be getting paid to go to TAFE, getting paid as apprentices, and and they've got a permanent job that's on a lot of money nowadays. The cost so far has been borne by the Alliance, although they did get 2,500 from electricity.
Oh, yeah, it's Transgrid.
Transgrid, yeah, a grant from them to help film. They will be needing funding for advertising over the next 12 months for about 50,000, which they'll raise some between themselves, and then they'll try and look for grants, which we're doing at the moment. It's a very worthwhile group and extremely important to Broken Hill, and I think they're doing a great job. And it's got TAFE active again. It's got all the engineers meeting and working out. They've got to help themselves to make these happen. So it's really good. The second one is Murray Basin Authority, for which I'm chair for Region 4. And I just want to say thank you to Roy Butler, member for Barwon. Roy Butler lodged a submission to ICAC today into the handling of water by the Commonwealth Environment Water Holder, who manages the Terrell Station water. Since Terrell was purchased in about 2009, it was supposed to have all the infrastructure removed so water could flow through to the Darling River. However, that wasn't removed, and there's been something like 14 million spent on concrete walls and diversions to create an artificial floodplain, and thus still no water flowing through to the river. It is yet to be confirmed if ICAC will act on the submission, but we hope so. So good for Roy.
Yeah, good for
Thank
Roy.
you.
Thank you. You want to move that your verbal report be accepted?
If I can move that one.
Move, councillor Leakey, seconded. Councillor Chandler, all those in favour? Oh, any questions on the report? No, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Just before we go into the main reports, I just want to acknowledge Danny O'Connor, who passed away recently. He was the president of the BIC for a long time, but also the chairman of the Barrier Daily Truth, and he'll be sadly missed. I will open it up to the floor if anyone does want to speak on it. No? All those in favour? Oh, don't need any favour. Councillor Allgate? Oh, you don't want to speak?
I was just going to say that Danny was a good friend of pretty much everybody, and including the council. Even during agreement negotiations at odd times, Danny was always prepared to listen and was flexible. Unlike, some people before him, at least he would listen, and there was an ounce of flexibility in what he would accept and not accept. And I think the council done quite well under his reign. And, he touched a lot of people, not only in his union, union role, but on the ABC and in everyday life, also with the BDT. But Danny was a likable fellow, a bit of a rascal, and yeah, loved life. And I'm sure that the people of Broken Hill will never be forgotten.
Do agree. We move on to committee reports, infrastructure and environment, Broken Hill City Council, report request for additional street lighting in Glen Street. That's on page 24 for people that may be interested in the gallery. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Gillett, seconded Councillor Boland. Councillor Gillett, you'd like to speak to that? Anyone like to speak to that? For those that may not have been at the committee meeting, so that area is just in Glen Street across the road from Furniture One. The lighting there is adequate for standards, but if there is to be additional lighting there, then it really should be put there by the owners of the building. As you can see from the report, there is a considerable cost to the community if it was installed by the community, and considerable additional ongoing costs. We all know that there is issues with lighting in some areas of Broken Hill, and we did do a light audit report which identified a lot of areas that do not meet the standard for lighting, and they will be prioritised over areas that already meet the standard. So even though in the future we may look at putting additional lighting in areas that already meet it, but at the moment there's too many areas in Broken Hill that don't meet the standard that have been waiting for a long time for lighting. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is the minutes of the local traffic meeting held on held on Tuesday, 1st of July, 2025.
Move the
Councillor
recommendation.
Allgate moved that, seconded. Councillor Hickey. Councillor Allgate, you'd like to speak to that?
Just to say that there's five mentions, six topics mentioned in this particular set of minutes. But on the whole, the traffic committee deals with a raft of different things, predominantly parking issues. And a lot of the parking issues are difficult to resolve in rapid time, and they take up some time of the infrastructure department, and including the acting general manager. A lot's been put on their plate, but parking is a real problem, particularly in terms of ride share. You know, there's been a growth in the ride share industry in Broken Hill because of the lack of taxis. And so there needs to be an audit on all of the taxi ranks around the town to see whether they're being used, whether the taxi company wants to use them on a regular basis or not. And the council has to decide, or the traffic committee has to first decide, you know, what should happen with those taxi ranks, and where in fact ride share can be fitted in. Some of the other problems were unregistered motorcycles speeding down Felspar Lane. That's under consideration. It's listed for sealing in this year's works, but apparently because of the late arrival of the bitumen truck, it won't be done until next year. But I'm told that, the committee was told that there'll be a chemical seal put over that lane to reduce the dust. They can't submit speed limits or stop signs or whatever at that particular location, because the Department of Traffic prevent that. One thing that's not in these particular minutes, but really needs to be mentioned, is there have been concerns and questions raised by the Birkwood Street School about traffic not stopping at the traffic lights in Rackhouse Street, which is a surprising claim, but apparently it's not not a rarity. It's a quite regular event. And the council, I understand the council has, in anticipation of some of the problems that exist out there with location, has trimmed a large gum tree to make the sight distance better. There's been some suggestions that the tree needs to be removed or the traffic lights need to be moved. That matter is under discussion and under investigation. And hopefully at the next council meeting, there might be a resolution of that one way or the other. The PCYC situation with the request for access for disability parking or disability access and disability parking, and the bus zone, to have a bus zone at the front of that particular organisation. That's under consideration, and once again, council staff have to do the rounds of talking to the bus company, the taxi operators and all the rest, and work out what might be able to resolve the situation or not able. It's one or the other. But there's lots of traffic problems in terms of in that particular location with the traffic island in front of, basically in front of the PCYC, and in the centre of the road, it leaves very little road surface between the parking cars, of the existing parking of cars, and the island. To put a bus zone in seems to be a pretty difficult situation. But anyway, that'll be up to the traffic committee to consider that, and at its next meeting, make a decision one way or the other.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Just briefly on from, and it might be interest to all, particularly Feldsbar Lane, which is one of the unsealed lanes around Broken Hill that still is creates a lot of dust. So council's program, which is starting next year, which will span over a 3-year period, that all unsealed lanes in Broken Hill will be sealed over a 3-year period. So that's good. That's something where a lot of people come in and spoken about unsealed lanes and how can it be happening in such a modern era. So good on to the acting general manager, but also our manager of infrastructure, because it's an important one, getting that bitumen sealer and then being able to do our work's really important for the city. Any questions or comments? Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's not to do with the motion, but through you, if I could just ask the acting general manager a question. I do know the answer, but it's for the benefit of other councillors and for the public, as to in Wolfram Street, the curb and guttering was put down and then removed. I know there's been quite a bit of angst around the town as to why that's happened. So I'd get you to explain that, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so during a whole point inspection for that project at Wolfram Street, that's an inspection where the contracting company must require sign-off from our project engineer before continuing. During that inspection, it was found that the curb and gutter was the height of and the levels of the curb and gutter was not to design. So through discussion with the company and through our project engineers, it was determined to remove and start again with that curb and gutter, which would have been completed last week prior to a bit of rain that has come about. But even with this direction, it's at no cost to council, nor has it affected the timeline with the contractor being able to continue other works in the next section on the other side of Iodide Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting General Manager. That's a big plus for our engineer then. Thank you.
Look, it's a plus. It's a plus for the city. We all know in Broken Hill how important flooding is. Our acting general manager, who deals with flood issues all the time, the curb and guttering is the most important thing when it comes to flood mitigation. If you're even an inch or a couple of inches below what the level needs to be, instead of the water staying along the gutter going down to our drainage system, it can actually flood our houses. So hats off to all involved in making sure that that was picked up, because we certainly don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a project that ends up having to be pulled up because in the future it's not meeting the requirement because of flood issues. So congratulations and well done to all involved. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 1 of the Corporate Community Development Committee, suspension of a portion of the Central Business District alcohol-free zone beyond Dusk Festival on the 6th of September, which is on page 51 of the business paper. Do we have a mover? Moved Councillor Page, seconded Councillor Hickey. Councillor Page, would you like to speak to that? Deputy Mayor Hickey? This is one just for all that may be listening, and this is a really important festival, and I congratulate again all involved to make sure that they did get that funding. The business owners are already really excited about it and talking about this may be a replacement for the Hill Festival. You can't really link the two, but it is important that we do continue to activate the CBD because a vibrant CBD makes a vibrant city. So well done to all involved. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, nomination for the appointment of community representatives to Section 355 committees. That's on page 55.
Move
We have
recommendation.
moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Turley. Councillor Allgate, you'd like to speak to that?
Only to say that it's good to see we still have some people applying. Whilst we still have a lot of vacancies, it's good to see that we're progressively getting people.
Councillor Turley, you'd like to speak to that? Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 is the minutes of the Broken Hill Lead reference meeting held on the 28th May 2025, page 67 of
Move
the
the
report.
recommendation.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Boland. Councillor Allgate, you'd like to speak to that?
Yes, Mr. Chair. When you read the minutes, my concern was raised I raised my concern at the committee meeting about the suggestion that at item 4, I think it was 4.3, that a section of, I think, Far West Health were not going to provide any information in report form to this particular group, because this particular group allowed the council to have access to it, and it found its way, that those comments found its way into the local newspaper. I just wonder, first and foremost, what's so secretive about the the treatment of or the testing of children for lead levels. And if it, I just don't understand that one group that's an important group is not going to participate in terms of tabling a report. The other thing is that when for many years, we've got reports from the lead reference group, and often more than often, almost regularly, they've been the number of children tested, the results of the tests, whether the situation's improving or not. Now we don't get any of that, and that's what the public want to know. The public want to know if the money that's being spent is achieving what's desired, and that's to get an improvement in the lead levels in young children, and we're not getting that information. So I just think it's a shame that there seems to be some sort of conflict within the committee, and the committee's not providing the information that's so important to the community.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Deputy Mayor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor. I agree with Councillor Allgate totally, and I've read through that on numerous occasions, and I can't see why that they won't file that. They don't want the reports to be put on our website. But it's a major thing. And then Marimar came out on the radio last week with all the stats as to who, you know, the lead and all that. And I think everybody's entitled to know. And it's it's a state government run body now that, so I can't see how they can withhold it from the reports.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Hickey. Any other speakers? Councillor Turley?
Just reading the minutes, it actually refers to no report will be provided verbally or otherwise, but happy to discuss alternate arrangements. Was that discussed? The alternate arrangements at the meeting, or
Not at this stage.
can we
apparently.
write to them and ask them what are the other options?
Not at this stage, councillor Turley. The general manager is in discussions with the Far West Area Health Service or the Western Local Health District. Really important though that we do continue to get updates. It is this council that has led. It's this council that ensured that we got the Premier's Department to be in charge of this. That was under the last government with Deputy Premier, Health Minister Blizzard. He made it quite clear that lead is such an issue in Broken Hill that it needs a whole of government response. I do understand their concerns, and I did look through the report that was published last time, and some of the things that were in that report were things that were like some houses are not in very good condition, and that may have been considered and probably should have been redacted from the report, but they probably should have been redacted from the reports before they were given or even brought up in confidential session and then provided to councillors. But it needs to be provided to councillors. It's not acceptable for anyone, particularly people in a public health position, which ultimately addresses and looks after people in Broken Hill. It addresses an issue that affects Broken Hill more than any other place across the state. We account for 90% of high lead in children. We regularly contact the government to make sure that we're getting, if we're not provided that information, we don't know the trends or we don't know what's going on with the health of children in Broken Hill. It makes it almost impossible for us to advocate as a council through both the state and federal government to ensure that we get the best outcomes for Broken Hill. So if the mover and the seconder would add to the recommendation and add a number 3 that we do write back to the Western Local Health District to explain that a report needs to be provided in some form to the council so that they are able to continue to advocate for better health outcomes for Broken Hill, keeping in mind that the Premier's Department led reference group relies or has a lot of input with the Broken Hill Council. We were the first contact, we were the first people that were involved with it, and it's important that we remain the leaders when it comes to advocating for better lead outcomes for Broken Hill, because there's more to lead levels than just health. You happy to accept that? Happy. Is there any other comments about that? Councillor Allgate?
No.
You're right. All those in favour? Declared carried. Unanimously carried. Item number 4, minutes of the Norm Fox Sporting Complex Community Committee meeting held on June 26
Move the recommendations.
on page 72 for people in the gallery. Councillor Allgate moves, seconded. Councillor Turley, Councillor Allgate.
Just to say that the committee went through the induction process at their annual general meeting and were made aware of all the expectations. The matter of an annuity or honorarium paid to a groundkeeper was passed, and hopefully the council accepts that, and also a 50-50 split of the profit in terms of the kiosk, the operation of the kiosk down there. But the committee, although it only consists of about 4 people, really has done a pretty good job, and the committee itself was happy that they've just received the new lawnmower that's been a long while they've been waiting a long time.
Thank you, councillor Orr. Any other? Just if, also, could you just add there that we do thank the canteen operations organisers because,
Yeah, include that.
yeah, because, and it needs to be an official written response because for a long time that canteen hasn't been operating. It's been operating for about the last 12 months, and it does make a difference to those down there that do play cricket.
Just to add further, there is a need for some internal repairs, interior repairs to the building down there. The floor needs to be redone, and it needs to be repainted. But I think that's been discussed with the tech services or infrastructure people already.
Follow that up. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Further reports, item number 1 is council meeting arrangements at the Christmas shutdown period. That's on page 79 in the business paper. We have a mover for that. Moved councillor Gillett, seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Gillett, like to speak to that? No, councillor Byrne. Look, this is something that we do every year, and it is just to make sure that we're not holding council meetings in the middle of the Christmas week. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, correspondence seeking funding opportunities to reduce lead dust exposure in Broken Hill, page 82 of the agenda. We have a move, councillor Boland, seconded. Councillor Allgate, councillor Boland.
I think Mayor Kennedy, yeah, note the correspondence and probably note back to item 3 in the Community Development Committee that's why the figures that come through from the Health Department are very important because it helps us seek funding opportunities to reduce lead dust, and we always, obviously, we've got a response back there from the appropriate minister, but it will make it very difficult to make those representations for the community without correct, up-to-date lead level testing within children. And as you mentioned, lead's an issue right across the entire community, and it will make it very difficult to make those responses or those push the government to fix to assist the city in addressing the issue.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Any other speakers? I'll just read out a paragraph from the Honourable Penny Sharp MLC, who responded positively and acknowledges the work our council does. This is from Penny. I can confirm that the Premier's Department leads the coordination of a long-term whole of government strategy to address environmental lead contamination in Broken Hill, including funding pathways. The Premier's Department also chairs the Broken Hill Environmental Lead Response Group. Accordingly, I've referred your correspondence to the Premier's Department for their consideration. I understand that the Broken Hill City Council was also a member, which we are. Important group, and it's an important group that we have a lot of input into, particularly our management. I think you're on that one. So our acting general manager is on that reference group, and we must be provided with all the information that is needed to get a good outcome from Broken Hill. As you can see, there was correspondence from the Honourable Penny Sharp, who is the Minister for Energy and Environment and Heritage and Climate Change. So all the things we send off has a real impact. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 is correspondence urgent needs sustained funding for the social futures, page 86. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that way.
Move councillor Boland,
Seconded.
seconded Deputy Mayor Hickey. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Disappointed, say the least, with this letter. The funding's just finished, and get told I'll keep an eye on the grant funding website because there might be suitable future funding opportunities. But we had a good program. It was working for our young people in the community and in the regions. And I know the regions that missed out, it's Sydney seems to be lacking from the names here. We've got Bathurst, Broken Hill and Lismore. So I'm sure there's lots of great programs being funded in Sydney, but obviously if you're out the other side of the Blue Mountains, outside of the heartland of Sydney, you don't get any funding, so it's quite disappointing. But I do note the equipment from the clubhouse has gone out to the PCYC, so they've taken on the lease and are hoping they're setting up a room out there that will hopefully house that equipment, and they might be able to continue to do some kind of program with it. But again, I can't say enough that how disappointing that letter is and how disappointing that we can't get a small amount of funding to the regions to support such an important project or program, I should say.
Yeah, any other comments? Yes, councillor Boland, that's gone out to the PCYC, has it?
Yes, I was speaking to Lyndon today and earlier in the week as well, or late last week. They've taken the lease on to that equipment, a 3D printer, some VR headsets, etc. And are setting up, they've got a room within the clubhouse there that they're hoping to set up and put the equipment in. I'm thinking the program ending while the lease was still over the equipment was interesting, but it's good. Hopefully they'll be able to do something with that equipment and run a program under their umbrella out there. But I can confirm, or through Lyndon at the PCYC, that is where the equipment has ended up.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, eligibility for 88-day Australia program for rural and remote areas on page 90 of the business paper. Moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded
Seconded.
councillor Allgate. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Good response from Jamie Chappie to say that he will follow it up for the whole district. I don't think there's much more he can do than that. But it really needed throughout the bush. Thank you.
Just if you don't mind, could you just explain it a little bit more so people do understand it? Because it's an important program and people might not realise what the 80-day, the eligibility for the 88-day Australian program for rural and remote areas is.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. What it is, it's for backpackers that come to Australia on a visa, holiday visa, and if they work in a remote rural area, they will, and it is zoned for that, they can get an extra 12 months visa by doing 88 days in the bush, which is pretty important because they all come and do it. Now, a lot of them is rural. If it's a rural industry, they can get it. Hospitality, they only get in very certain spots. Say Tibooburra, Milperinka, Packsaddle miss out because they use Broken Hill's postcode. Tuncary miss out because they use Wentworth's postcode. It's just ridiculous when they say they're not rural and they're not remote. I dare any one of these politicians to walk from those towns, the nearest town, without their boots and tell me it's not bloody remote. But it is disappointing they can't get. And some of these pubs will shut because the owners are just worn out from working because they can't get. There's no local employment, no local people. And these backpackers, my daughter applied, put an ad out and had 12 of these backpackers that were willing to come, provided they could sign the form. But she couldn't, they can't sign the form, so she got no workers. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor, this is a huge issue because I speak to a lot of local business people in town. They have been lobbying for that group of people to be included in what you're talking about because they can't get a workforce. So what happens? We suffer as a town. So I don't know whether you can lobby to have. I know the business houses are lobbying. I don't know whether you can help talk to them and see if you can lobby on behalf of them as well to be included.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Page. I actually spoke to the opposition leader and opposition minister for visas, and also the Minister for Visas in Canberra some 4 or 5 months ago. They both agreed with me that it was absolute crap. By the time we wrote the letter, they come back and said, oh, no, there's an election coming up. We can't do it. And I'd say that they're both gone now anyway. So we may have to renew that.
Well, do you want to just add to that we
Yeah.
do write off to them
Yeah.
again? Because if their response was an election, we better
Yeah.
remind them of the importance. The election's over now, so you want to add that?
Yeah,
we
if I
write
could,
off to
please.
the-
Yeah, that we do write to
to the
both the
minister.
minister and the opposition.
Yep, just saying the importance again.
Because it is important. And like you say, Councillor Page, it affects every one of us.
And
Um,
we will still, we'll rewrite to our local member,
Yep.
Jamie Chafee as well.
Thank you.
You happy to second that, councillor Allgate still? Yep. Any other comments? All those in favour declare it carried unanimously. Item number 5, correspondence report funding for the Broken Hill Regional Airport and support for Regional Express Airlines on page 93 of the business paper. We have a mover for that. Move councillor Page, seconded councillor Chandler. Councillor Page?
This is another big issue that affects the long-term survival of our city. And one of our previous residents, John Connolly, owned his own aircraft industry, and he always said, we're the shortest destination to some of the places all around the world. They can land here and then unload their passengers and go out to other areas. So there is a possibility here of having a huge, an Air Force base here, a bigger airport, but until the politicians start listening to the people that know, we'll suffer the same as we have in the past.
Thank you, councillor Page. Any other speakers? No, all we can do is keep on pushing it. Appreciate all councillors that put in an effort to make sure that we do all we can to get an upgrade at our airport. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6, correspondence report updated the William High School rebuild on page 97. We have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded Deputy Mayor Hickey. Councillor Allgate?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I think from the reading of the report and from discussions outside of council, it appears that councils, particularly the mayor and deputy mayor's input into this particular project, along with the committee that was formed and people representing the students, it seems that what looked like was going to be a very small or very minimal new high school has now got all the bells and whistles that the council and the community want. But apparently the lack of science labs and equipment within the laboratories has been resolved. What was formerly a 1 or 2-story complex is now 3 stories. It can cater for 750 odd students. It lends itself to better design in terms of being open space in a lot of areas and covered from the sun, and all this sort of all the bells and whistles that people are looking for seems to be built into it. And I think a lot of the credit for what's happened, the changes that have come about as a result of the mayor's input and the deputy mayor's input over the period of time, along with teachers, parents, and all the rest of them, we've really done a good, or the community have really done a great job, and we'll have a high school that's better than we had before.
Deputy Mayor Hickey?
Further to Councillor Allgate's things, the whole of the working committee worked very well together. And we must pay good credit to the Honourable Prue Carr, who promised that we would get a new school and a very good school, and that appears is what we're going to get now. I don't think anybody on there is disappointed with anything part of that at the moment, and it's all worked very well together, so thank you.
Any other speakers? Just briefly, just to say that the teachers or the principals lot happier than what he was initially, and also the parents. The PNC is also much happier with the way it's progressing. Schools infrastructure are listening a lot more than what they were, and the build itself is a lot better than what was initially proposed. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 7, operational plan outcomes, final key performance indicators, progress report for the period ending June 30 on page 101.
Move that way.
Move councillor Boland, seconded
Seconded.
councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I note a very detailed and impressive report. So well done to the team that put that together. I note the 11 off track, and I've reviewed them and again, thank the team for putting detailed explanations in. It helps to understand why they are off track. And I also note the 11 have been included under the 2025 26 operational plan. So very in-depth report, and it's a good report to have a look back on what council's achieved over that period as well, and what we've got to go and what's coming up as well. So I'll leave it there. I will note one red item such as the Mulga Creek Wetlands concept design for public use. Good explanation there around the priority project being over at the new library development, and there's some off-target ones around CCTV as well, which is well documented around securing equipment, security and things like that. So I'll leave that there.
Thank you. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 8 is the Disability Inclusion Action Plan, Key Performance Indicators, Progress Report, period ending 30 of June 2025. Do we have a mover for
Move
that?
the recommendation.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded Deputy Mayor Hickey. Councillor Allgate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a very comprehensive report, lengthy report, and worthwhile. When the key performance indicators on page, what is that? Page 182 on the iPads. 42 achieved and 2 off track. You can't do too much better than that. I think that's a really wonderful achievement, and not need to say anything more. That says it all.
Any other speakers? So the report really emphasises what I hear in the community, and probably what other councillors hear, is that people that do have a disability or are using mobility equipment, the way council has addressed access around the city has been thanked by a lot of people. So the report really does reflect what's happening in reality, and you always want to make sure that when you do get a report, it's fine to have indicators that say that you're meeting your targets, but if those targets, when they're met, aren't really getting the positive feedback that they should be, then it doesn't mean much. But the key indicators here are actually aligning with exactly what I'm hearing in the community, which is always good to hear. Councillor Turley?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just thought I'd take the opportunity in this report to add a congratulations to our staff and to all those attended the Disability Expo on the weekend. And I think it's reflective. It's one of the actions within the report. It's reflective how it's grown over the many years. And I think this year was probably the best that we've had, including an invited guest speaker. So if it's okay that we can just acknowledge that, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sure the mover would be happy to. Seconder, happy to add that. Also. Yeah. All those in favour, declare it carried unanimously. Item number 9, media policy and draft media relations policy of public exhibition on page 204 of the business paper. We have a mover for that. Moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded Councillor Boland. Deputy Mayor Hickey.
Move as written.
Moved as written, no further comment. All those in favour, declare it carried unanimously. Item number 10 is the investment report for June 2025 on page 238 of the business paper. Councillor Boland.
Move that way.
Seconded.
Seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Again, well written report and great to see the term deposits ticking along nicely there as the equities markets up and down a little bit. Inflation numbers were down today. Employment numbers are down, so there will be an interest rate. Well, there should be an interest rate decrease in August. We thought there would be in July, but anyway, there wasn't. But there probably will be in August. So good to see that the term deposits are locked in at those higher interest rates, and it's well balanced to keep us out of the headwinds of the equity market.
Thank you. Any other speakers? All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 11 is minutes of the Broken Hill Education Working Group meeting, June 2025 and July 2025. Moved Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded Councillor Allgate. Deputy Mayor Hickey.
No, just move as written. Mayor Kennedy, I've spoken a little bit on it, so I think we've done enough.
Would you be happy to add a number 3 that we send correspondence to all members thanking for their input and the results that have been achieved?
Yeah, most certainly.
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge the people that have been involved in that committee. There were people that were involved from it originally and people that had come on to it from the Williama PNC, committed in other ways, but they also acknowledge how important that committee has been and how interested that they are to continue to be involved in that. So I think those people that are involved need to be thanked by a resolution of council, simply because the amount of effort that has gone into the community to do the best we can. It may not be perfect for what we want, but it is close to perfect as we were going to get with the effort that people put in. All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 12, July 2025 action list. We have a mover for that. Moved Councillor Gillett, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Gillett. Well done. I like it. All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 16 is questions taken on notice from the previous council meeting. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Byrne? No. All those in favour? Declared it carried. Questions for the next meeting. Do we have any questions for the next meeting from councillors? No. We move on to item number 18, which is the second public forum session. We'll consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by council at this meeting only. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes each to address council. Do we have any speakers from the, yes? Just say your name for the recording. Thank you.
Ros O'Connor. First, I'd like to ask the acting general manager. I was pleased he spoke because I was going to ask him about Wolfram Street, because Wolfram Street's my street and it's also the general manager's street down the end of Wolfram Street. And I was wondering if it's going to be finished by next Tuesday, because that's when the netball season starts, and that'd be handy for people, going down Wolfram Street to there. Do you know?
Yeah. Your answer.
Through the mayor, it will be finished by the end of August, but that next section that does lead directly into the netball is just the shoulders that are being reconstructed. So the actual traffic flow will still flow through, but the full completion of both sections of road will be at the end of August.
Good, because I know you can walk down there, but just wondered because he lives right on the corner. I'm sure he's been watching it very carefully on that one there. The library, I heard on the wireless that the library's coming along really well, probably be finished November. He said on the ABC that it was delayed a bit because they didn't want to, with all the wind, lift the concrete blocks anywhere that they're setting up at the library. So they delayed work in the wet and windy weather, but should be about November. Is that correct? About then? Good.
Yeah, so in November, but aiming for as quick as they can. They don't want to give any guarantees that they don't think they can meet. But the library itself will be in lockup stage in the shortly. Start of September. So you'll be at the point where you'll actually have a library there in September, and then they start refitting or fitting out all the internal bits and pieces
Oh,
of the
that's terrific.
libraries.
Yes, you
Weather
got it,
pending.
you got a grant to refurnish.
Yeah, there
didn't
was an additional grant for furnishing.
Yeah.
So it is going along really well, and people will see just how quickly it's coming together in the next 6 or 8 weeks. It will be virtually
That'd be great.
finished construction, but their soft furnishings will have to happen.
And the other one about the Beyond the Dust Festival on Saturday, the 6th of September. You chose the right date because that is the grand final day of the footy in Broken Hill. So that finishes at 5 o'clock and everyone can walk up there after that. That right, Cody?
Was that planned? Well, you just let us know. We might have to check that one out. Thank you, Roz. Any other speakers? No. Well, we will move into confidential session. There is only one item in the confidential session, so it won't take long. So probably 5 or 6 minutes. So we have a move to go into confidential session. Move councillor Gillett, seconded councillor Byrne. All those in favour, declared carried. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Moved in confidential matters, we have one, that mayoral minute number 5/25 dated July 24, 2025 be received and noted. Two, that council note the view of the GM Performance Review Panel that General Manager Jay Nankerville has performed at a better than satisfactory level in the fourth year of his contract of employment as General Manager of Broken Hill City Council, and congratulates him on that performance and his leadership of the staff, and encourages him to continue the progress made in the organisation and in his personal development to ensure the council's continued financial sustainability. Three, that council adopts the General Manager's Performance Agreement 2025/2026, noting that the 8 priorities for 2025-26 listed in the mayoral minute have been included in the General Manager's Performance Agreement for 2025-26. Four, that the General Manager develops an action plan for submission to the Mayor and Deputy Mayor within 2 months to outline the actions to be taken to address the 8 priorities, so progress can be reviewed in February 2026. 5, that the General Manager's total remuneration package be increased by 4% to recognise his high performance in accordance with clause 8.3 of his contract of employment, and to align with the same increase granted to all staff under the Broken Hill Consent Award. 6, that council approves to offer a renewal of contract of employment to Mr. Jay Nankerville for the position of General Manager with the following terms and conditions. Term of contract being 5 years, commencing from the expiration of the current contract. The total remuneration package and all other conditions of employment remain unchanged from the current contract. 7, that the Mayor and Deputy Mayor be authorised to sign the General Manager's contract renewal as per the OLG Standard Contract of Employment for General Managers of local councils in New South Wales, with all provisions of the current contract remaining the same. And 8, that Mr. Stephen Blackadder of Stephen Blackadder Consultant continues to be engaged to facilitate the General Manager's annual performance reviews for the duration of the 5-year contract from 31 March 26 to 31 March 2031. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Acting General Manager. As there is no further business for the, one little quick one before we go on.
Thanks, Mayor. Sorry, I was going to just say it after the meeting, but I just had advice that the New South Wales government has cut back some funding for teaching for TAFEs. It does not affect anyone in Broken Hill. So the manager from TAFE has just texted me right then to say, don't panic for Broken Hill. There's no cuts for Broken Hill. Thank you.
Good job. That's always good to make sure that we get special treatment. There is no further business for council to consider. I declare the ordinary council meeting closed.